Hey everyone, how are you all doing today? I have a full week of storytime videos to upload to you this week. I have finally graduated college, but that's a different story time. But I am finally able to upload again to my channel, so yay for the rebirth of my channel, really. So this is the first story time of the week. Obviously it lands on Monday like all of my other story times do, but I will be uploading a new story time every day after this one up until Friday. So this story, I would like to start off by saying, never get to an airport late because it fries up your mind. Now, I always was like, why take 3 hours ahead to get to the airport and just wait there? Why not just go like an hour before, check in your bags, get to security, and you're okay, you're on the plane in 30 minutes, you don't have to wait very long. And my dad always said, no, get there early, get there early. And I always argued that fact. Well, after this story, I will never argue that fact ever again, because I almost missed my plane back home from London. So basically what happened was I went to London to the Jagex HQ. It was a trip to test legacy mode, and as you all know, a bunch of people went. I will also have that story in another story time later this week. But I went on that trip and I roomed with Caveman Films. I don't know if you're familiar with his videos. He's got like 1 million subscribers and makes Minecraft videos, but he was my apartment mate for the entire trip to the HQ, and the day before we were supposed to leave, I read my itinerary, and I thought my taxi was coming to pick me up from the apartment to take me to the airport at 7 a.m. Now, I read this wrong because of the time zone conversions, and I wasn't really sure, and my flight was at 9:05 a.m., so I figured if the drive is an hour and 30 minutes from Cambridge to London Heathrow Airport, why would I be picked up at 7 a.m.? Because that would only give me 35 minutes of time to get through security, check in my bag, and all of that stuff. So I was a little confused, but I didn't question it because I just figured that's what it was, and things would go okay. So I set my alarm the night before to wake me up at 6 a.m. to make my 7 a.m. taxi. I would shower, make sure I have all of my stuff together, and I'd be ready to go. And it was actually for 5 a.m., so that was 2 hours before I thought I was supposed to be in the taxi, and an hour before I actually woke up. So that is not a good situation. I woke up at 6 a.m., and Dan, or Caveman Films, knocked on my door and was like, hey man, I'm about to go, are you ready? And I said, yep, I'm all good. And I woke up, got out of my bed, I had all of my stuff packed the night before, just in case stuff like this happens. I always pack up the night before, just for these kind of situations, and thank God I did because it paid off. And I looked at my itinerary and I looked at his and I said, wait, it says your taxi's coming at 6:05. How is mine coming at 7? Your flight's at 9:40. So we looked at my itinerary again and he said, no dude, your taxi was supposed to come at 5 a.m. And I just flipped out. I was like, no way. I mean, what the hell? How am I supposed to get there? And he's like, well, you could always jump into my taxi if the guy allows it. So I grabbed all my stuff. I went upstairs. I was like, hey dude, my taxi came at 5 a.m. and I wasn't there. So can I get a ride to the airport? We're going to the same destination. Can you please take me there? And the guy was like, yeah, of course. Cool. Yeah. So thank God for that guy. I'll tell you more about him in a second. But I got on the taxi and we were going to Heathrow Airport, so I was not nervous at all. I was going to have enough time to get through security and all of that stuff, so I was very happy that worked out, or else I would have had to pay a taxi driver probably like £120 just to get to Heathrow Airport. And yes, I would rather do that because the flights for Cambridge is like $1,500 if I'm going from Cambridge to New York, so it is a really, really expensive flight, and I wouldn't want to miss that flight, of course. So I was happy I was on the taxi and on the way there. Now, we get to Heathrow Airport, and he stops me at my terminal first because my terminal was on the way to his, so he just let me out first. I got out of the car, I said thank you so much. I gave him a £10 tip. I know you don't tip much in the UK, but it's just something that's right for me. He did a really big solid for me, and he really helped me out, so I wanted to give him something in return because he did a nice job, and I gave him a £10 note, and that is the equivalent to about 20 American dollars, so I gave him a $20 tip. And he gave me my luggage from the back, and I was on my way into Heathrow Airport. Now, the thing I didn't tell you yet is that I traveled to the UK with two things. I traveled with my little suitcase luggage kind of thing, and I traveled with a backpack carry-on. Now, when I was walking to Heathrow Airport, I had my passport in my hand, I had my wallet, my phone, I had my little suitcase thing that he gave me, and I did not have a backpack attached to my back. So I didn't know that at first, and I had my passport. I ran in. I was checking in because I was a little late to check in because obviously I missed my taxi, and I was supposed to be there a little earlier, so I was supposed to have checked in already. I ran in to do the express check, and some really nice lady at the airport helped me out. She told me what to do. She just helped me do everything and get everything settled. And as we're doing that, I realized that a backpack isn't on my back. My backpack didn't leave the taxi. So I was like, oh my God, I left my bag. I don't know where it is. I was like, I think it's in the taxi. And the girl's like, well, like, you have to finish this first. I can't let you leave yet. So I had to wait there another 2 minutes, and we got the boarding pass and everything. And I was already checked in. And she said, you have about 20 minutes before we have to take your luggage to put on the plane so it gets to your hometown. I can't take your bag right now, but you have 20 minutes to get back here. So I ran outside frantically. I looked for the taxi where he dropped me off. It wasn't there. So I'm just panicking at this point. I don't know who to call or what to do. My phone barely works. I didn't have Wi-Fi or anything like that. I didn't know Dan's number. I had the number of the place that we used for the cars, but I didn't have the correct driver I was supposed to have. So I looked at my itinerary and I saw the number in the top left for the actual service of the cars we were using. And I called it up and I was like, hey, I left my bag in one of the taxis, but it's not the one that was for me. I used a friend's taxi. And she's like, what was your friend's name? I said, Dan. And she was looking into it. She said, I'll call you right back. Give me a few minutes. So that was like 5 minutes after I was told I had 20 minutes to go. So I waited outside for another 10 minutes, no phone call. I'm 5 minutes away from not having my bag checked in, possibly not making the plane, not being able to go through security. And out of nowhere, I hear a beep beep. And it was the taxi driver. He dropped off Dan to the other terminal, and I assume he saw that my backpack was still in the cab. He came over and he's like, hey man, you left your bag in the taxi. And I literally said this, I'm not joking at all. I went into the cab and I said, you are a lifesaver and you are amazing at your job. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I grabbed the bag, I gave him a handshake, and I ran back into the airport. I got my boarding pass, like I said, she gave it back to me, and I checked in my bag, and I went through security. I had to run through it, and I basically got right to the gate. With 10 minutes before my plane was about to take off, I had everything ready. I was okay to board. I got in the plane, I put on my seatbelt, and I just took a giant sigh of relief. And that was just my hectic morning to try to get home. I missed my taxi. I almost lost my bag. My bag also had my work laptop. It had a bunch of other things like my chargers, and it had some other important things. So I really couldn't lose that backpack, and if I lost it, it would have been just a tragedy. So the fact that I was able to make it on the plane, that I got there okay, I was safe, I had my stuff, it was just remarkable. And that's why I stress so much on being a good person, because I truly believe in good karma, and I think I used all of my good karma in a matter of that whole 2-hour situation that went on. So hopefully I still have some good karma left in me, but I'll continue to be a good person and try to get some more good karma. But it was really just a miracle that I got on that plane safely and I had all my things. So I am blessed to be able to be home right now and have not missed my graduation, which will also be in another story time. But it was just so hectic, and I was so nervous and confused and unhappy, and all these emotions were going through my head. But once I got on that plane, I was okay and everything was good. So that was my hectic morning, and that's what I was talking about on Twitter when I said after a few panic attacks, a heart attack, and a minor breakdown, I am finally home. That's what happened, and that's the story I wanted to tell you all. It is crazy that I almost messed up everything, but it all worked out. So my advice to you guys is get to the airport early, 2 to 3 hours early. Do not put that kind of stress on yourself, and don't forget your bags in cabs, because it doesn't work out really well. I just happen to get really lucky. So yeah, don't do that, because you'll be really stressed and upset. And also, I'd like to take this time to apologize to anyone in the UK at the Heathrow airport when I went outside, didn't find my cab, and said the word fuck, I think about 90 times. So if your kids were around, or you just don't like that kind of language, I'm really sorry. I was stressed out. So if you're listening to this and you happen to be one of those people outside of Heathrow Airport, when I realized that my bag and my laptop in the cab that I didn't know where to contact was gone, that's why I was saying those things, and I'm very sorry. So anyways, guys, that is this story. I will talk to you all tomorrow for another story time, and I hope you all enjoyed. I'll talk to you in the next one. Later, everyone.